Hello there and welcome to Kakaaki, the African Voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Kunle Adewale and it's great to be with you this Wednesday. Of course, it is the 13th day of May 2026. Great to be with you. I'm glad you could join us too. Now, until about a fortnight ago, not very many people had heard of the word Hantavirus. Well, all of that has changed now as on May the 2nd, and the outbreak of the deadly rodent vending disease was first reported involving the cruise ship MV Hondios, which was evacuated in Tenerife, Canary Islands in Spain. 11 cases have been reported, 9 confirmed and 2 probable, while there have been 3 deaths related to the cluster, including a Dutch woman and a German national. Passengers from 23 countries, including the US, the UK, and France, are being monitored or quarantined. The current outbreak, identified as the Andes strain, which is native to South America, is the only known hantavirus capable of person-to-person transmission, though this usually requires close, prolonged contact. Now that the hantavirus is becoming a global issue very fast, it's important that the right information is also being spread. Nigerians are being told that there's almost a 0 chance of an outbreak of the virus in the country. But global health experts say that is not true. The World Health Organization and the African Center for Disease Control, during a World Health Organization webinar held on Tuesday, said African countries face an increased risk of hantavirus exposure and delayed detection due to significant gaps in diagnostic capacity, surveillance systems, and preparedness. The global health bodies warned that no African country, repeat, no African country is immune from the threat, stressing that the continent's major vulnerability lies in its current transmission levels, weak diagnostics, uneven surveillance systems, and inadequate preparation at points of entry. That's why on Kakaaki this morning, we will be looking at the hantavirus, its origins, mode of transmission, and how immune Nigeria is from it. Joining us to do this is Dr. Kasmia Ifeanyi, the National President of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria and Fellow, West Africa Postgraduate College of Medical Laboratory Science. He will join us on the program later on. Of course, it is the second Wednesday of the month of May, and you know how we do it on the second and fourth Wednesdays. Kakaaki Cancer Awareness, in collaboration with Kubour Cancer Foundation, whose CEO, Dr. Denise Ejo, will be taking up the issue of dealing with end-of-life care for cancer patients. This is usually a very trying period for the patient, loved ones, and caregivers. Today's focus is on the navigation of palliatives for terminally ill cancer patients, and Dr. Ejo will be looking at this with Dr. Geraldine Nduku, palliative consultant at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. That's the outlook for this morning on the program. But don't forget that you can be part of the program by sending in your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube, you can find us at Africa Independent TV. At Africa Independent TV. I say it again, at Africa independent TV, so you can stay up to date with the latest news from around the world. I'm talking about news from around the world. We'll take a break. When we come back, it will be time for the world news on Kakaaki. All right, thank you for staying with us. This is the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice. You are welcome. Now we'll begin from Israel this morning, where the parliament has approved a new law allowing the death penalty and public trials for suspects accused of involvement in the October 2023 Hamas-led attacks and hostage-taking operation. The legislation passed overwhelmingly in the Knesset, with 93 lawmakers voting in favor and none opposing it.
The law creates a special legal framework for prosecuting captured suspects accused of participating directly in the attacks inside southern Israel. Israeli officials said the trials would focus particularly on captured members of Hamas's Nakba Special Forces unit and others linked to killings, kidnappings, and sexual violence. Israeli politicians backing the legislation described the future proceedings as trials of historic significance, comparable to the prosecution of Nazi official Adolf Eichmann in the 1960s. Eichmann remains the only person executed following a sentence handed down by an Israeli civil court. Under the new framework, suspects will appear before a special military court in Jerusalem, operating under rules different from ordinary criminal proceedings. Major hearings, including verdicts and sentencing, are expected to be filmed and broadcast publicly through a dedicated online platform. Human rights organizations strongly criticize the legislation, warning that public proceedings and altered legal standards risk undermining defendants' rights and encouraging politically driven trials. Rights advocates also expressed concerns over allegations that some detainees may have been subjected to torture during interrogations. The October 7th attacks killed more than 1,200 people in southern Israel and triggered the devastating war in Gaza that followed. Israeli officials said bereaved families supported the legislation in hopes that the trials would provide long-awaited answers about the attacks and the fate of hostages taken into Gaza.
The European Union has agreed to impose new sanctions targeting Israeli settlers accused of violence in the occupied West Bank, as well as leading members of Hamas. The decision followed a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Brussels after months of political deadlock within the bloc.
The sanctions package against settlers had previously been blocked by Hungary under former Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. The change in Hungary's leadership allowed the veto to be lifted shortly after the appointment of new Prime Minister Peter Magyar. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said the bloc needed to move beyond political paralysis and ensure violent extremism faced consequences. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot also welcomed the agreement, describing the targeted settlers organizations as major supporters of extremist colonization activities in the West Bank. Israeli officials condemned the measures and argued that Jewish settlement activities in the occupied territory reflected historical and national rights. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar accused the EU of acting in a political and arbitrary manner against Israeli citizens and organizations. The EU simultaneously approved sanctions against senior Hamas figures linked to the October 7, 2023 attack on southern Israel, during which around 1,200 people were killed and hundreds taken hostage. European officials said Hamas leaders responsible for the assault must be excluded from any future political role in Palestinian governance. The new sanctions comes as violence in the West Bank continues to intensify amid the wider Gaza conflict and rapid settlement expansion across occupied Palestinian territory. European ministers also discussed possible restrictions on products originating from Israeli settlements, although no consensus has yet emerged on broader economic measures against Israel.
In the meantime, the European Union and the United Kingdom have announced coordinated sanctions against Russian officials and institutions accused of deporting and indoctrinating Ukrainian children.
Additional and drug activities. The latest move also arrives ahead of a planned meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, where Iran and the Strait of Hormuz are expected to feature heavily in discussions. According to the Treasury Department, the targeted network helped Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps arrange the sale and transport of Iranian crude oil to Chinese buyers. Officials said the operation relied on shell companies and shipping intermediaries designed to disguise the origin and ownership of the cargoes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration would continue using economic pressure to restrict funding streams connected to Iran's military operations, nuclear activities, and regional proxy groups. The U.S. State Department also announced a reward of up to $15 million for information capable of disrupting the financial system supporting the IRGC. The American officials said the sanctions build on earlier restrictions imposed in July 2025 against Turkey-based Golden Globe, which Washington accuses of processing hundreds of millions of dollars in IRGC-linked oil transactions. The three sanctioned individuals were identified as workers connected to the IRGC's oil headquarters who allegedly coordinated payments through the Turkish company. The companies named include Hong Kong's firms accused of arranging oil sales, UAE shipping businesses tried to sanction shadow fleet tankers, and Oman-based logistic operators that allegedly secured vessels for Iranian cargoes. U.S. authorities also identified additional Dubai and Hong Kong companies accused of purchasing millions of barrels of Iranian oil or acting as front companies for Iran's national oil sector.
There was also a report that the United States has imposed a new round of sanctions targeting individuals and companies accused of helping Iran move shipments of oil to China through covert commercial networks. Now let's move on to another story. The U.S. President Donald Trump says a ceasefire between the United States and Iran remains in place, but is extremely fragile after weeks of rising tensions and military confrontations. His comments come during remarks at the White House, where he described the truce as surviving on massive life support. The latest diplomatic strain followed Iran's counteroffer to Washington regarding attempts to end hostilities and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Trump rejected the proposal outright, while Iranian officials defended it as a reasonable framework centered on sovereignty, security guarantees, and the protection of Iran's national interest. Iranian parliamentary speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf warned that Iranian armed forces were prepared to respond to any renewed aggression. Tehran's proposal reportedly demanded an end to fighting across the region, a halt to the U.S. naval blockade, and compensation for damage caused during the conflict.
Unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support.
Trump also claimed Iran had discussed handing over its enriched uranium stockpile to the United States, although Iranian negotiators denied any agreement involving the removal of nuclear material from the country. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai insisted Tehran's demands were legitimate and said Iran would act decisively to defend its interest. Health officials in the United States and several other countries are monitoring passengers evacuated from the cruise ship MV Honduras after confirmed cases of the rare and the strain of Hantavirus were linked to the vessel. Authorities say the risk to the wider public remains extremely low despite growing international concern.
Speaking during the Africa Forward Summit, Macron announced investment plans worth $27 billion, targeting energy, digital technology, artificial intelligence, maritime industries, and agriculture.
One American passenger tested positive for the virus, while another displayed mild symptoms after the ship docked in Spain's Canary Islands. More than 90 passengers have since been repatriated, with some travelers placed under quarantine and medical observation in the United States. 16 Americans are being monitored at a specialized quarantine unit in Nebraska, while 2 others were transferred to Atlanta for additional assessment. Officials said the symptomatic individual and that person's partner were isolated separately as a precautionary measure. The outbreak has also been linked to 3 deaths among passengers who traveled aboard the Dutch vessel. 2 of the deceased were confirmed by the World Health Organization to have contracted hantavirus, while several total cases connected to the ship have now been confirmed internationally. Medical experts say most forms of hantavirus do not spread between humans, but the Andes strain identified in several passengers is capable of limited person-to-person transmission through prolonged close contact. Health officials stressed that quarantine measures were designed to prevent any broader spread, while further testing continues. Passengers from the United States, Canada, Britain, Australia, and New Zealand are now isolating or undergoing monitoring after leaving the ship. Authorities in multiple countries said exposed travelers without symptoms had been instructed to remain isolated for periods ranging from several weeks to the full 42-day incubation window associated with the virus.
French President Emmanuel Macron has used a major summit in Kenya to signal a new direction in France's relationship with Africa beyond its traditional former colonies. The gathering in Nairobi marked the first time France co-hosted such a summit in an English-speaking African country.
Speaking during the Africa Forward Summit, Macron announced investment plans worth $27 billion, targeting energy, digital technology, artificial intelligence, maritime industries, and agriculture across Africa. French officials said the investments were expected to create around 250,000 jobs, both in African countries and in France itself. The summit reflected France's attempt to rebuild influence on the continent as anti-French sentiment grows in several West African nations, formerly under French colonial rule. Paris has faced accusations for decades of maintaining excessive political, economic, and military influence in former colonies after independence. Kenyan officials described the summit as an opportunity to move beyond divisions created by colonial language blocks separating Anglophone, Francophone, and Lusophone African states. Foreign Minister Musalia Mudavadi said hosting the summit in Nairobi demonstrated a broader vision for African diplomacy and economic integration. France's changing strategy comes after military governments in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger expelled French forces and deepened security ties with Russia instead. Macron defended France's military withdrawals from the region, arguing that French troops left because their presence was no longer welcomed after military coup. Political analysts said the summit illustrated how France is now seeking partnerships in new African markets outside its historic sphere of influence. Kenya's diplomatic role and relative distance from France's colonial legacy allowed both countries to present the Nairobi summit as part of a wider reset in African-European relations.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will not resign after a court ruling revived pressure for an impeachment investigation linked to the Falafala cash theft controversy. Ramaphosa instead pledged to challenge the findings through legal channels while remaining in office.
The dispute centers on the theft of large sums of cash hidden inside furniture at Ramaphosa's private game farm. Questions over how the money was stored and how the incident was handled triggered accusations of misconduct and prompted demands for a formal inquiry. An independent panel previously concluded there was a prima facie evidence suggesting the president may have committed serious misconduct in relation to the matter. Ramaphosa has consistently denied wrongdoing and insists the cash came from a legitimate buffalo sale connected to his farming business. South Africa's Constitutional Court ruled last week that Parliament acted improperly when lawmakers voted against establishing an impeachment inquiry in 2022. The judgment reopened the possibility of a formal parliamentary process that could examine the allegations in greater detail. Ramaphosa responded by announcing plans to ask the courts to review and overturn the reports used to justify impeachment calls. He argued the panel relied heavily on hearsay evidence and maintained that the conclusions were legally flawed. Political analysts say the president is still likely to survive any parliamentary vote because of continued support within the governing party. However, a prolonged impeachment process could damage his political standing and overshadow his presidency regardless of the final outcome.
In Nigeria, proceedings resumed Tuesday at the Federal High Court in Abuja in the alleged coup conspiracy case, with the court opening a trial within trial to determine whether statements credited to the 6 defendants were freely made. The special hearing followed objections by defense lawyers who challenged the circumstances under which the statements were obtained, alleging coercion and other forms of pressure during interrogation. The trial judge directed counsel to confine their submissions strictly to the question of voluntariness and warned against arguments relating to the substance of the main charge. Representing the federal government, Director of Public Prosecution Rotimi Oyedepo informed the court that 3 witnesses had been scheduled to testify in the mini-hearing. The prosecution then presented its first witness, a military police officer attached to the investigation. Given evidence, the officer told the court that all 6 accused persons were duly informed of their constitutional protection before their statements were taken. He insisted that none was threatened, forced, or denied the opportunity to engage legal counsel. According to him, the investigative process complied with both statutory provisions and established military procedures. During the session, the prosecution tendered written statements allegedly made by the defendants, as well as electronic devices containing video recordings of their interviews. The materials were admitted into evidence without objection from defense counsel. The witness maintained that the recordings clearly showed the defendants speaking voluntarily and without signs of intimidation. Members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, are raising alarms over what they call conflicting interpretations of the Supreme Court's certified true copy of the judgment regarding the party's leadership. A group called the PDP Survival Movement argues the Apex Court's ruling has already settled the matter despite ongoing disputes.
The dust is far from settling within the People's Democratic Party as the general elections draw near. At a briefing in Abuja, the PDP Survival Movement insisted that the Supreme Court's judgment is being intentionally misread. The group argued that contrary to popular narratives, the court did not suspend Senator Samuel Anyanwu or any other National Working Committee (NWC) member.
In the eyes of the law, a judgment remains valid and binding until a higher court says otherwise. To ignore this is to invite anarchy into our party's administration.
The group also says the ruling left no leadership vacuum for the Board of Trustees to fill, confirming instead the legitimacy of the Abdurrahman Mohammed-led NWC.
At this difficult moment in the life of our great party, we urge all PDB members to reject misinformation, reject constitutional distortion, and reject politically motivated propaganda. Honorable Abdurrahman / Senator Samuel Ayawu-led National Working Committee remains the only subsisting court-recognized leadership structure within the PDP.
While the judgment was intended to end years of internal strife, it has instead sparked a fresh legal tug-of-war over who truly controls the party. Amaka Okoro, AIT News, Abuja.
6 students of the Nasarawa State University, KEFI, abducted by gunmen from the institution's Gudi campus regained their freedom days after days in captivity, I beg your pardon. The students were kidnapped on May 6, 2026 from the Faculty of Engineering area of the university's off-campus site in Gudi, hometown of Governor Abdullahi Sule. Confirming the development, the Nasarawa State Police Command said the victims were rescued following sustained intelligence-driven operations and coordinated tactical efforts by security operatives. Police spokesperson Rahman Nansel disclosed that 2 suspects, Abdullah Yeyi Haru and Basiru Abdullahi, were arrested during the operation. According to him, the suspects, both residents of Gudi, were apprehended after painstaking investigations aimed at dismantling the kidnapping network behind the abduction. Nansel added that the rescued students have reunited with their families and are currently receiving medical attention and psychological support following their ordeal. The Commissioner of Police, Shetima Jauro Muhammad, praised the operatives for their professionalism and reaffirmed the command's resolve to rid Nasarawa State of kidnappers and other criminal elements. He also assured residents that investigations are ongoing to track down and arrest other fleeing members of the syndicate. Rescued victims of the abduction at the Tajuddin Islamic Foundation and Children's Home alongside the Darul Kitab Islamic Training Center in Adavi local government area of Kogi State have recounted their ordeals in the hands of their abductors. The victims' narration of their experiences is coming on the heels of the sealing of the facility by the Kogi State government.
Hell was let loose on April 26, 2026, when gunmen suspected to be bandits stormed the Tajuddin Islamic Foundation and Children's Home, alongside the Darul Kitab Islamic Training Center, and kidnapped 26 victims. With the swift response of combined security forces, 17 out of the 26 were rescued while 9 were in captivity. After spending more than 9 days in the hands of their abductors, they finally regained their freedom and reunite with their families.
The food is not properly, like sometimes they'll give us in the morning, then after 3 days again, but they'll give us again. Water to the same thing. They don't beat us, but they're just calling, they're just saying money.
We thank God that my children have already been released and my wife. And they are here safely.
With joy in the faces of their loved ones, it appears that the storm is not yet over, as they were greeted with another surprise when the Kogi State Ministry of Education temporarily sealed the Darul Kitab Islamic Training Center. But the Ministry of Education gave reasons for this action.
And we found out that the school has been in operations in spite of the fact that the conditions precedent to due registration has not been met. We then were left with no option than to close down the school.
I appeal to them to please, they should just give me little time for any other documents I supposed to provide it, so that school can continue, the children also can learn.
Chekumba Akaya, AIT News, Lokoja.
Activities at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, UUTH, were disrupted on Tuesday following an alleged raid by operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Eyewitnesses say the operatives stormed the hospital premises at about 10 a.m. in 2 salon cars and a tinted bus, reportedly to effect the arrest of the Deputy Chairman, Medical Advisory Committee, Professor Eyo Ekpe, for reasons yet to be made public. Some of the operatives were said to be masked, while others wore EFCC insignia, creating tension within the hospital environment. Witnesses further alleged that gunshots were fired and tear gas canisters discharged during the operation, causing panic among patients, visitors, and medical personnel. The ensuing confusion forced many to flee for safety, with reports of injuries and concerns about the health risks posed to vulnerable patients within the facility. As of the time of filing this report, the exact reason for the operation remained unclear, and efforts to reach the Chief Medical Director of the facility, Professor M.M. Basi, as well as the EFCC zonal office in Uyo, proved unsuccessful, as calls and messages were not responded to. Meanwhile, health sector unions, the NMA and Joheso in the hospital have confirmed the incident, describing it as disruptive and unsafe, and have reportedly directed their members to embark on an indefinite strike. The situation has raised serious concerns about safety within healthcare facilities and the potential impact on patient care. In the meantime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has explained why its operatives were at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital on Tuesday, following protests by students demanding answers. The EFCC says its Uyo Zonal Directorate visited the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital to verify a medical report presented by a suspect in custody. According to a statement by Head of Media and Publicity, Dele Oyewale, the suspect is on remand before the Federal High Court in Uyo for allegedly defrauding several microfinance banks, including the University of Uyo Microfinance Bank. The Commission said it sent 2 letters to the hospital on March 11th and April 20th, 2026, asking for authentication of the report, but received no response, after which an investigating officer later visited the hospital in person, also without success. The prolonged silence prompted operatives to meet with the Chief Medical Director on Tuesday for further inquiries, when a staff allegedly raised a false alarm and attacked them with stones and other objects. The Commission added that the Chief Medical Director ordered the hospital gates shut, preventing them from leaving, despite advice from police to open them. However, the EFCC said its operatives exercised restraint and left the premises without disrupting hospital operations. The statement reminded the public and institutions that cooperating with lawful inquiries is mandatory, warning that obstruction is a criminal offense. The visit comes after students staged a protest against what they called an invasion of the hospital and demanded to know why the EFCC attempted to make arrests there. A 90-year-old woman in Benin City has described the governor of Edo State, Monday Okpeholo, as a God-sent leader committed to rescuing the state from infrastructural decay. The nonagenarian made the remark when Governor Okpeholo embarked on an inspection of ongoing road and erosion control projects across Benin metropolis.
On Tuesday continued his inspection tour of ongoing road and erosion control projects within Benin metropolis as part of efforts to improve infrastructure and tackle erosion challenges in the state. At the erosion control project site on Obaseki Street off Agbo Road by Ramat Park, a 90-year-old woman, Clara Owaifu, expressed appreciation to the governor for the intervention. The visibly excited nonagenarian described Governor Okpeholo as a God-sent leader to Edo State and offered prayers for the success of his administration.
Because they don't abandon this road. The whole governor where he come, they abandon. But they take our money. We cannot cut off line. Over 25 years for this road where he be like this. God will bless him. He will stay long for the position. He will be older than me. He will not die young.
The governor also inspected ongoing projects at Temboga, Ute Palace Road, Ramat Park flyover and Adeswa flyover.
We are believing that by the grace of God, if we continue at this pace, then it will be our limit, and though we be a modern city, by the time we are done with our first 4 years.
So here's Inarume, AIT News, Benin.
That's the world news on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Thank you for staying with us. Don't go away. We have more reports for you on Kakaaki Business.
Welcome to Kakaaki Business. Top U.S. executives from companies including Tesla, BlackRock, Meta, MasterCard, and Visa are expected to join President Donald Trump at this week's summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping as firms push to resolve businesses and regulatory issues in China. The May 14 to 15 summit is expected to focus less on major trade deals and more on improving market access, securing regulatory approvals and easing commercial tensions between both countries. Industry analysts say many of the companies joined the delegation with specific commercial requests, hoping the summit will create political goodwill to accelerate negotiations already underway with Chinese regulators. The meeting also comes amid broader U.S.-China tensions over technology, trade, supply chains, and investment restriction, although both sides may still reach agreement on agricultural purchases and selected business cooperation areas. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the European Union is preparing tougher rules to curb addictive features on social media platforms, including Meta's Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and X. She said children are increasingly exposed to risks such as cyberbullying, anxiety, self-harm, and exploitation due to business models built around capturing user attention. She said the proposed Digital Fairness Act will target harmful platforms features, including endless scrolling, autoplay, and push notification, while also placing stricter limits on the use of artificial intelligence on social media. The EU chief also backed the introduction of a minimum age requirement for social media access, arguing that platforms should not have unrestricted access to young users. The planned rules are expected to strengthen the bloc's existing Digital Services Act, under which the European Commission is already investigating TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram over child safety and harmful content concern. The Commission has also launched proceedings against X over the use of its Grok artificial intelligence tool in generating sexual images involving women and children. Meta Platforms on Tuesday launched its fight against an Italian regulatory order that it should compensate publishers for using snippets of their news articles after Europe's top court sided with the Italian telecoms watchdog. The case underscores the ongoing copyright battle between publishers and creators and tech companies over the use of newspaper articles or authors' work for AI training that have triggered litigation against companies including Meta, OpenAI for infringement. The case came before the Court of Justice of the European Union after Meta challenged the Italian Communications Authority's power to set the compensation that online platforms should pay for using press articles. The court, however, ruled that a right to fair compensation for publisher was consistent with the EU law, provided that remuneration constituted consideration for authorizing the publication to be used online. South Africa's unemployment rate rose to 32.7% in first quarter of 2026, up from 31.4% in fourth quarter of 2025. The number of unemployed people increased by 301,000 to 8.137 million, while employment fell by 345,000 to 16.754 million. The labor force participation rate declined to 59.0%, the lowest since 2022. Broader labor underutilization also worsened. The combined rates of unemployment and time-related underemployment rose by 1.6 pp to 35.9%, while the combined rates of unemployment and potential labor force increased by the same margin to 43.7%. The composite measure of labor underutilization, which includes time-related underemployment, unemployment, and the potential labor force, climbed 1.8 pp to 46.3%. The federal government is seeking a fresh $1.25 billion loan from the World Bank under a proposed program designed to expand access to finance, electricity, and digital services, while supporting reforms in tax, trade, and agriculture. The facility, titled Nigeria's Action for Investment and Job Acceleration, is structured as a development policy financing operation, with the Ministry of Finance serving as the implementing agency. According to a World Bank document, the proposed loan is scheduled for approval on June 26, 2026, and is expected to support Nigeria's transition from macroeconomic stabilization to inclusive growth and job creation. The World Bank said recent reforms have helped improve fiscal stability and investor confidence. However, it noted that poverty remains widespread, with more than 139 million Nigerians living below the poverty line in 2025. The bank also warned of high risk surrounding the program, citing political uncertainty, oil price volatility, inflationary pressures, and potential setbacks in revenue reforms. As the federal government pursues its $1 trillion economic targets, strengthening tax reforms and boosting revenue generation have remained key pillars of the administration's economic agenda. Vice President of Nigeria Kashim Shettima, at the 28th Annual Tax Conference in Abuja, said securing a sustainable future for coming generations will require a major investment in infrastructure, supported by an effective and efficient tax system. 4 months into the implementation of Nigeria's new tax laws, Vice President Kashim Shettima has again defended the reforms, describing them as people-centered and business-friendly policies aimed at building an economy that rewards productivity, innovation, and transparency. Represented by the Special Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, Kubour, the Vice President said Nigeria is making steady progress under the new tax regime, with the reforms expected to strengthen revenue generation and improve the country's fiscal outlook.
We are determined to break the cycles of high interest burdens and that stifle our ability to fund education, healthcare, social services, and infrastructure. We are also financing our future. Every naira recovered from inefficiency and every cover brought into the net from previously untapped sectors is a brick in the bridge towards $1 trillion milestone and the greatness we desire.
Important thing for me is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has brought to the table a renewed awareness that taxes are necessary. They are wanting to be popularized so that it is at the top of national debate where we are electing people.
President of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Innocent Ohagwa, stressed the important role of tax professionals in the successful implementation of the new tax laws. He called on practitioners to help interpret tax policies for Nigerians and close the information gap on taxation and compliance.
The more critical than now, particularly with the reference to Section 33(1) and Section 147 on the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, NTA 2025. As the president of the institute, I call on all members across the public and private sectors to rise to the demands of this moment and support the implementation of this reform. Every CITM member must become a stakeholder in this reform agenda by deepening their technical know-how, upholding higher ethical standards, and providing sound, objective guidance to taxpayers, institutions, employers, and government. We must firmly reject practices that undermine compliance. Instead, uphold the principle of transparency, fairness, accountability in all engagement.
Also speaking virtually, Taiwo Yedele said 15 states have so far adopted tax modernization laws as part of effort to create a more efficient, transparent, and investor-friendly fiscal environment. With the federal government targeting an increase in Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio from about 10% to 18% in the long term, participants at the conference said the engagement offers an opportunity to position Nigeria's tax system as a model for sustainable revenue generation and economic growth across Africa. And that's Kakaaki Business.
The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figure, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy. Governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should stay back and go. of this country.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it was for that reason. Politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Proving that the election peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the President.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You are still watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Wednesday morning, the midweek edition. And of course, you know, we don't ever do this alone. I have my tag team partner joining me now. Adora Sidney Jack is here. And from here on, we'll roll together. Morning.
Good morning, Kule. How are you?
I'm good. Very good.
Great. It's good to see you. Sleepy still or what?
No, I'm not. I'm wide awake now.
Fantastic. Morning, everyone.
All right, let's bring you a special report here looking at the issue of electricity regulation in Bayelsa State. And it's in a bid to build a reliable, competitive and sustainable electricity market for residents that the Bayelsa State Electricity Regulatory Agency organized a stakeholders meeting to review and vet Electricity Agency Licensing and Market Entry Regulations 2026. The event, which held at the DSP Alamesea Banquet Hall of Government House in Yenagua, brought together government officials and key actors in the power sector, traditional rulers and consumers who made useful inputs on various sections of the policy document for ratification. Chairman of the Bayelsa State Electricity Regulatory Agency, Austin Adigio, and the Director General, Rosalind Dressman, spoke on the imperatives of the program.
To ensure that the rules governing our business engine and operate in our markets are fair, clear, and fit for economic realities of 2026.
It's about reviewing the upcoming regulation, and the regulation is about license and market entry framework. So it's supposed to guide operators from distribution to transmission on what is expected of them when they want to come into the electricity market in Bayelsa State.
Participants, including former Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Boribiora John Jonah, made vital inputs. Issues concerning licensing and compliance, regulation of permits, deregulation of tariff, and consumer protection were on the front burner during the vetting process.
All right, interesting one there, Mr. Kunle, because talking about Bayelsa and electricity, it's something that is heartwarming to see that they're making alternative efforts. And beyond that, I think in 2025 as well, in the month of November, December, there was also an unveiling, of this procedure now that it's been mentioned. But I think one thing is clear, that we spoke about Enugu State in terms of the last week when we talked about the headline.
Yeah, that was on Monday.
On Monday, on diversifying with coal and generating more, electricity supply. I think that that's something that other states can also look at, moving from just depending on, the natural source of energy and moving to, wind, solar, and even water for some. So I think it's something that we must look at, alternative energy supply, and how that also can create the economic boost that each state needs.
Yeah, I think the Bayelsa effort speaks to alternative sources and alternative ecosystems of electricity generation and distribution across Nigeria, which other states should also pick up. But we'll wait and see how it goes.
All right, let's get into our social intervention segment, and that's coming up shortly.
And welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Jolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go. Wow. Back again. And this, we're working the triceps. Back of the arms. You know those jingle bells? Let's attack those right now. Are you ready? Weights go up and bend. Keep your elbows close to you, and your time starts now. Let's go. Push it up. Good. Now, the temptation is to move your body forward and back. No. Don't do that. Keep your body still and let the arms break and lift. Break at the elbows and lift. That's all. Keep your elbows close to you. Now, some people might want to keep their elbows facing the diagonal line. Don't do that. Make sure the elbows are facing the direction of your nose, straight ahead of you. Keep going. Say bye-bye to those jingle bells. Say bye-bye to those prayer mother's arms. We don't want them anymore. Come on, let's work. Almost there. Keep pushing. Down to the last 10 seconds. We're already there. Already there. And your time ends now. Well done. Well done. I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye.
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today, I'll be speaking on bringing out the best in people around you. The truth of the matter is that those leaders that you see today that build critical followership, that build outstanding respect in communities, those leaders that people follow respectfully. They are individuals who have done something that is very outstanding, something that is very amazing. They have learned the secret of investing in other people. The greatest task of leadership is producing other leaders, converting followers into leaders. Every leader that has mastered the opportunity of realizing that nobody's an island, that you need other people to be able to succeed. So whenever people appear in front of you, you only see potentials. You only see beyond the reality, because sometimes people come to you, they do not look like it. People come to you, they do not look like those who can make a big difference. But the leader has the capacity to see beyond the way these people appear. And what do? They begin to find opportunities to groom and train and invest and coach and mentor and grow these individuals. When you learn how to do what I'm talking to you about, what happens to you? You become a leader that inspires. You become a leader that grows. You become a leader that other people will begin to follow. So no great achievement happens alone. Whether you are running a business, or you're managing a department, or you're leading a community project, you need a team. So great leaders don't just gather people, they grow people. So when the people come, they are gathered. But by the time it's 4 or 5 years, they have been groomed. What it means is that they know how to do the job better. They know how to make a big impact in what they do. So your job as a leader isn't to be the smartest person in the room. Take note of that. Your job as a leader is to make everyone else smarter. It is to see potential in people. Don't just stay and focus on yourself. I want you to look beyond yourself and see everybody in front of you as such a project that you can transform, right? So first, know your people. Learn their strengths, dreams, and struggles. Second, give them the room to grow. Don't micromanage. Trust them and let them try to get something done. The third, that is the most important thing, is learn how to celebrate their wins and their accomplishments. When you learn how to speak the right words to people, to inspire people with your words, to challenge people to become the best that they can ever be. All the people that I have met in my whole life who have invested resources in grooming and inspiring people, these people I know, I have seen all the time. Guess what? They have over the time developed such a very powerful influence that you can imagine, where is this coming from? And so if you are listening to me today and you want to be that leader that wants to build a legacy, let your name counting in this world, the secret is investing in human beings. Great people of Nigeria, you must remember, if a man does not have a purpose for waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Have you ever wondered why some daddies think it is mommy's duty to do school runs? Most times it is believed that school involvement, such as dropping off and picking up your child from school, is solely mommy's duty. Whoever made it so? I am sure that even mommies who don't work would be so glad to see daddy get actively involved in their child's school and life. Regardless of whether you're a very busy daddy or a single daddy, your involvement helps your child psychologically by performing better in his or her academics. Now, dropping off and picking up your child from school also helps you bond with your child. It is a great time to talk about goings-on in your child's life. Also, make sure you attend teacher-parents meetings in your child's school. It helps you become aware of your child's grades. It promotes better behavior and emotional health. So, here's thumbs up to daddies who already do school runs, and to daddies who don't. Get involved today and relieve mommy of some stress. All you need to do is to drop off and pick up daily or weekly timetable. And remember, sharing is caring. Honestly, that's my 2 comments.
For staying with us, it's now time for us to bring you our newspaper review this morning, and we do have the delight of Mr. Simon Reef. Mr. Good morning, it's good to have you.
Good morning.
The heavyweight.
Morning, Halaji Simon.
Good morning,
How are you today?
That's a new one.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. All right, somewhere along the line, we'll be joined by Iyobo Sayowa, who's going to be joining us virtually all the way from China. But in the meantime, we'll get straight into the kick.
Okay, let's look at what the papers have this morning quickly through the headlines. We start with this. Nigeria, and its top story says 2027, tackle vote buying, audit beavers, IREV, CSOs tell INEC. And the rider, single one there, says, urge Nigerians to elect only credible, performance-driven leaders. You'll find details of that story on page 4 of the newspaper this morning.
All right, let's look at Daily Sun. Daily Sun is looking at military bombs, Zamfara market, where suspected terrorists trade. I think that's what I see there. Yes, as the lead, over 72 killed. Amnesty puts figure at over 100. That's the lead story this morning on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper.
Okay, let's go to the leadership newspaper now, which is leading with the story. Controversy trails airstrike on Zamfara market that killed scores. Controversy trails airstrike on Zamfara market that killed scores. And the writers say attack killed 100 civilians, must be investigated. That's coming from Amnesty International. It's a known bandits hideout, government. Many women among 100 killed. That's from a resident.
All right, let's look at the New Telegraph. A Macri Homeland Security role will create tension with presidency's command control structure. Foresees high duplication risk. Tinubu overwhelmed by insecurity article. The term homeland meaningless in Nigerian context, and that's coming from ADC on page 2 and 7.
Let's go now to the Authority newspaper, and it leads with this story. Army sees 400 Starlink devices used by terrorists in Northeast. And the writer says military commander laments collaboration by civilians. That story flows from the front page of the paper and continues on page 2.
The Observer's Times is looking at an interesting lead there. It says intelligence-led operation. Nigerian military intercepts 400 plus Starlink terminals linked to Boko Haram, ISWAP, and that's coming to you on page 1 of the Observer's Times.
Okay, now let's go to the Daily Global. The Daily Global's top headline is political this morning. It says 2027, no alliance with APC. Wike-backed PDP insists.
And now the Daily Newscraft from Daily Global, we'll go to Newscraft, says it's leading with Uzodima's story. Says Governor Uzodima's Senate ambition campaign funds spark fresh uproar. His bid undermines party internal democracy, Imo APC chieftain. It's slight misunderstanding, says Governor Sani, and that's on page 2 of the Daily Newscraft.
And now we go to the Blueprints, which leads to the story. Tax reform an imperative for efficient revenue generation. Coming from the federal government, there are 2 riders there. It's to build a stronger fiscal foundation for Nigeria. Oyedele, Africa loses $89 billion to illicit financial flows annually. That's coming from tax experts.
The Daily Monitor, still looking and monitoring the story on the tax front, says Nigeria's tax reforms key to economic growth. That's coming from the finance minister. Says federal government creating competitive tax environment capable of attracting investment capital, supporting enterprise growth and others. And that's what you find there as the lead with that rider.
Let's go now to the Daily Assets, which leads with a different story. Federal government targets 15,000 homes for 60,000 Nigerians in 3 months. The writer said Tinubu pledges shift from policy promises to practical delivery. Innovative PPPs hold key in ending housing deficit. Shetima, the story you'll find on page 2 of the paper.
Standard Times says National Assembly moves to strengthen data protection laws as threats surge. And that's the lead story there just below the
at NG. Two of the paper.
Fever, NCDC warns of spike in fatalities, records 190 deaths, and that's what they're bringing us front page newspaper this morning. All right, so let's bring in our reviewer right now. I think it's best to start from the tragic story that happened in Zamfara. Military bombs, Zamfara market where suspected terrorist trade. Coming to us front page Daily Sun, and leadership led with that. Simon.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate and sad that we're having a repeat of what happened last month in Yobe State. And the facts that government is claiming, the Zamfara State government is saying, wow, that is a popular hideout for bandits. I mean, does not justify such an attack. The amnesty has come up to say children and women were involved. We are also some of the victims. Now, we ask the question, were they also part of the bandit? Are they part of the terrorists? So that's a question we need to ask. But I think there is a need for them to investigate what really happened. We've had such incidents too many times. And for us to continue to have them again, or to have such incidents is quite unfortunate. So I think the military should get deep into it and find out what is the problem. Now, there is a saying in law that says it's better you set 1,000 people free than to convict an innocent person. Now, are we saying that maybe the 50 or the 100 people that we kill are all terrorists? So I think there should be a system we should try to build. I've always maintained that winning the war against terror is not from the air. We need to get critical stakeholders in the communities to do certain things. Because as long as we depend on air power to do what we are doing as military, we'll run into a problem like this. And it's not good. We've had it in Kaduna, we've had it in Borno, we've had it in Yobe every now and then. But I think it is imperative for now for government to stop this mass attack from the air. We should be able to provide what is happening, not for you to just go up air and just be bombing people. It's not right. So I believe government should do something about it.
Okay, what do you think government should do?
Yeah?
What do you think government should do? If you say government should do something about it, I'd like you to now expand on that a little more.
Yes. Now, you need to do what they call engaging the communities. You can't simply say the Air Force should continue to bomb places that they suspect is where they should simply go and bomb. No. I mean, there should be intelligence gathering for the Air Force to go and bomb a particular place. And they say, this is a market. It's a market.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's hear what Yobosa Wugaren has to say. He's joining us virtually now, all the way from China. Good morning, Dr. Yobosa Wugaren. I hope it's not too late in the day for you there.
No, good afternoon. I think it's about 2 p.m. here.
Oh, so great. So it's in the middle of the afternoon for you. So good. Now we're looking at the story on the front page of the Daily Sun that talks about the 100 people who have been reported allegedly killed by an airstrike at a Zamfara market. Simon here thinks that government should do something about it. What's your take? I'm sure you've read that story too.
Yeah, I read the stories in Daily Trust newspaper this morning. It is quite unfortunate if it is true that some civilians were killed, but there are two versions now. The military authority, I'm talking of the defense headquarters, said no civilian was involved, that those who were killed are terrorists. But however, whether a civilian were involved or not, I think we should have our back of our mind that we're in a war situation. because the strategies of the terrorists is to live within civilians. They are using them as a protection, believing that it will be difficult. Yes, that it will be difficult for the police. For the security agencies to attack them without affecting the civilians. That has been their strategies, and the community also believe that they also agree that terrorists live with them, and that there's something they can do about it. And we've heard the Minister of Defense saying that, look, if you are living with terrorists who are the enemies of our country, you should also be prepared to also bear the consequences. And I think that's exactly what is happening. Like I said, it's very unfortunate if civilians were involved, but we should also know that the military, to a very large extent, are also helpless. If they are fighting terrorists and the terrorists are living with the civilian, it is difficult for them to separate the civilians from the terrorists. And like the Minister of Defense said, if you are a friend of a terrorist, you're also the enemy of the state. I think that's the situation they find themselves. If the community believe that the terrorists are living with them, they have options. It's either they find a way to leave that community, because knowing fully well that one day the security agencies will come after them. That's exactly what happened. So if I believe the Defense Secretary, who said in a press statement yesterday that no civilians were involved, I think we should take it. If the civilians are involved, it is quite unfortunate, because we can't be in a battle territory without some casualties on the part of the innocent people. I think that is the consequences of this battle that the security agencies are waging against terrorists in some part of the country. So.
All right.
Yes.
Let's take some feedback here, Dr. Wajaran, because some of our social media, especially on our YouTube platform, they're also giving their own feedback today. Some say, and that's Iloro Ladapo says, it's blackmail against the military. Ekenbasa says, what do we want government to do, and what are the people always doing with the thoughts? I don't know what that means. But someone says, Ebony Francis, sometimes Niger matter, the tire person. The army strike, we complain. They don't strike, we complain. I think any market known for banditry activities, civilians should go out of it. That's his own contribution. Jude Victor says, engaging communities where natives are scared of collaborating with government out of fear of being punished by terrorists. And I think that's a rhetorical question. So maybe I bring that back to you, Simon.
Just look at what the priest says. The civilians are even working with the terrorists, while Benjamin Adiagbo says, Simon, I'm taken aback about your comment. Despite mistakes committed, which is regrettable, only dialogue cannot settle the insurgency. I align with the Yobosa. Interesting conversation going on this morning.
Well, I want to comment with what someone said. Most of those communities are even afraid to collaborate with government because they don't even have confidence in the military. They feel there are so many communities you go now. They believe they tend to believe that they will rather align with the terrorists who will protect them than the government that may not protect them. So we need to balance this. If you think bombing from the air on anything will solve the problem, I don't believe that. We need to get the critical buy-in of the communities that are besieged. We've done that in the past. We've never seen any result. We'll continue to do it. But you have to engage the communities to have confidence in both the military and the government. And that is why if you go to some states, the communities are signing a kind of a peace pact with those terror groups. Because as long as they sign that peace pact, then they will be safe. But if they don't, then there's a problem. So it's a deeper problem, yes, but there is no option to engaging the communities in the fight against terror.
All right, Dr. Water, I mean, maybe you might want to come in here because Samson says as long as there are collaborators within with bandits within the community, there will always be human collateral. The community will continue to pay terrible prices for not exposing the terrorists.
You see, I'm using Daily Trust report as a basis for my argument on this matter, because the Daily Trust said, and Daily Trust reported that the community said they are helpless, and that is why they are living with the community. Now, I mean, that's why they are living with the terrorists. So if you are living with the terrorists, you should also know the consequence of what you are doing. You know, we cannot continue to blame the military of incompetence, of inefficient, when in a situation like this, when some civilians believe that for them to live peacefully, that you must live with the enemy of the state, you must live with terrorists. You know, I don't know what we expect our military to do. It has been established that the terrorists are our enemies, and nothing must be. I mean, we must not do anything, you know, to protect those guys. And so wherever they are, wherever they find themselves, the security agencies, the military must go after them. And we have been told that even that market where they go has been banned by the state government for years, because the terrorists go there to also buy things. So in order to separate the civilian from the terrorists, the government advised the community not to patronize that market, because they know that one day the security agencies will strike. I think that is the consequence of their inability to obey to obey the state government, of not patronizing that market. So the point I'm making is that if they are signing the agreement with the terrorists in order to protect them, and they don't believe that the military can protect them, so when they go after the terrorists and they become part of the casualties that we are recording, there's something the military can do, because the military has been given a clear instructions: go after the terrorists wherever they are, and don't spare any attempt, you know, to protect them. I think that's exactly what the military and other security agencies are doing. So we can blame them if there are civilian casualties. So for me, all right,
Yobosa, we need to move on to something else now. Well, I think a safe place to end this particular issue is that comment from one of our viewers who says, if you are a friend of a terrorist, then you are a terrorist. I think it's a safe place to anchor that particular conversation this morning. And let me assure that other viewer that is asking that we be careful in the studio about what we say concerning terrorism, that we are very careful about what we say. We also are Nigerians. We want a safe country. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate it very much. All right, let's go on to another issue now, looking at the front page of the Blueprint and the Daily Monitor, which has the story, Tax Reform an Imperative for Revenue Generation. Now, Simon, tax reform is an issue that has been ongoing from sometime late 2023 until the law was signed and all of that, up till now. And government is still talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something very important when the finance minister was saying yesterday that we cannot sustain growth through borrowing. And so there is need for tax on how to reform it. Now, we understand that if you want to reform the fiscal policy, you have to talk about taxes, you have to talk about government spending and conditional transfers. You just have to do that. But again, when you talk about tax reforms, of course, many people have complained about these taxes, and they've called for a review. In a state where income is becoming just too small, nothing to write home about, what are the taxes? Of course, we know that those with lower incomes have been exempted, but it is not even the taxes that the issue. The issue is that what are you doing with the taxes that you have it? The emir of Kano said, despite the removal of fuel subsidy, government is still borrowing. And again, Nigerians were told that if you remove this fuel subsidy, you will free some money for development. Have we seen it happening? No. All what we've seen so far is about 159 trillion naira debt profile by the present government. So when you're talking of tax, yes, I welcome the idea of taxes. But what have you done with the revenue that you've accrued, that you've generated? Have you actually spent it in the manner that you are expected to do it? amidst all this, we've been having the 800 billion naira allegation on APC, that there were deductions, and this also coming against the backdrop that the World Bank came up to say, hey, 34.4 trillion naira was missing between 2024 and 2025. So I think you need to take the whole idea on a whole gamut. I mean, everything, not just one. You cannot just be talking about taxes, yes. So much in terms of power bills have increased. So many of these things, and then we have inflation. So that is not for you to start taxing people. You have to look at the tax. There are certain things that needs to be done. You cannot just take that tax as the only thing they are looking at from the fiscal point of view.
All right, Simon, let's go to Yobosa now, because as Simon spoke, Yobosa, I just recall the conversation I had with some people some time ago saying that one way of widening, they said one way of widening the tax net by government is to ensure that the necessary environment, the favorable environment for production to happen, be created. And I'm wondering, looking at this story, the finance minister saying that the tax reforms are key to economic growth, and there's no talk of production. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm asking, what are your own thoughts concerning this? Is it enough to rely on tax and loans from foreign bodies and even domestic loans for development in the country?
Yeah, if you look at the global community, you discover that tax issue is a very controversial issue. Presidents, they've lost their elections, for increasing tax, that people do not actually agree with. So I'm not surprised that the issue of tax is also generating huge controversy in our country. I agree with it. The truth of the matter is that if you look at this tax reform by the current government, those who bear the brunt of this tax reform are the rich. So if they have so much money, to play around with, to buy expensive car, to go to a club and buy a champagne of about 1.2 million naira, and without paying VAT, so I think those big men who have enough resources, who have money to spend, they should also pay tax. So if you look at the tax reform of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, those that are going to be affected are the rich, the likes of Dangote, the likes of Odutola, the banks, and other big men, even the big boys who go to club to buy a champagne of about 2 million naira. So they must pay VAT for such tax. So I don't have problem with that. But you see, people will always pay tax when they see what you are doing with the tax that they are paying.
Indeed.
Come to China, come and see the dividend of tax. And so if they are seeing what you are doing with the money they are paying, and they'll be willing to pay more. For example, if I'm not working, if I don't earn a dime at the end of the month, you are not going to tax me. And that's why I'm saying that this tax reform is targeting the rich, the big boys who have so much money to spend. So, but I think what we need to also advise the government, there should be transparency and accountability in the way we spend the taxpayer money. You can't be wasting it for campaign. And that's your own ambition. You want to be president of Nigeria, go and look for money somewhere. And that's exactly what is happening in other parts of the country. In the US, people raise money for campaign. If you are a governor, you can't be dipping your hand in the taxpayer money for your campaign. If you are a senator, you must look for money for your campaigns, not dipping your hand in the taxpayer revenue, your funds, for your personal political ambitions. In other parts of the country, it is criminal. It is serious criminal offense. So I think Nigerian government, Nigerian politicians, the political elite should learn a lesson from what governments around the world are doing with taxpayer money for development, for their well-being, for their security, for their health, and for their general well-being. And that's exactly what tax is meant for. It's not for politicians.
All right, Dr. Wajoren, just to come in here.
Not personal need.
Yes, just to come in here, because someone sort of also buttressed what you were saying. Sunday, Oguche Sunday says the government is focusing on taxes but refuse to talk about lifestyle spending. I think that's one angle. Another person says, that is Sunday Obiano says, what are they taxing again? Where is the subsidy money and back charges reduction, tax reduction? Nigerians now pay too much tax. But Ebony Francis brings a diasporan view, says, I'm outside Nigeria. The tax a lot here too, but you see what the tax is used for. But in Niger, nothing to show for it than our leaders buying expensive cars and unnecessary spendings. And interesting. And then finally, I want to take this one from Ben Waze. It says tax. Yet most of the police and uniform men buy their own uniforms on the service of the state. Dr. Whitener, how do you respond to the various inputs? One says we must tax, but people must see what you do with the money. The other says government should also look at lifestyle and spending.
Absolutely, I agree. That those who have been taxed are the rich, but the government must also look at themselves. How many of government officials pay tax in any way? You see governor, for example, who spend billions of naira every month as security votes. Such money, they don't account for it. So if you are taxing people, and you are not looking at the way you spend public funds as a government officials, then there's a problem there, because at the end of the day, if you also tax one of the serious implications of also taxing maybe a corporate organization heavily, double taxes here and there, is that at the end of the day, if you are suffocating them, and they might be forced to downsize, and once they downsize, many jobs will be lost. So I think the government, while they are taxing, they should also be conscious of the fact that there are some companies who employ millions of people, including the media, and that they also deserve some tax relief in order to be able to sustain their business organization. Because at the end of the day, apart from employing thousands of people, they also contribute to the economy of the country. Because we call it tax economy that is growing. If you are not creating the enabling environment for companies to do their business, for people to do their business, so whom are you going to tax at the end of the day? I think this is where the guy who is talking there, this is where what he's saying makes sense. That the government should create the enabling environment for economy to grow, because the more the economy grows, the more taxes that you collect from different corporate organizations or from individuals. So yes, we must tax, but we must also create the economic environment for people to do their business.
All right.
Okay. So many things coming up on our YouTube channel this morning. People are weighing in on these conversations, but let's quickly take a look at one other issue, because we just have 1 minute before we go. So Simon, I'm sorry. In 30 seconds, the federal government is targeting 15,000 homes for 60,000 Nigerians in 3 months. That's on the front page of the Daily Asset. A quick comment here.
Well, I would say that is just for the optics, because we know the cost of building houses now have gone high, because of cement and every other thing. And in the past, not this government, we've seen government come and go, and they will promise and promise and promise. So we wait and see. But as of now, the homes are up in the air. So when they come down, I think we can talk about it.
All right, Yobosa, what do you think? A final word, there are 30 seconds.
Of course, this is a campaign era, so they keep on making promises. But I think Nigerians are tired of promises. Let them just do the needful. If they want to build houses for the people or for the poor, let them go ahead and do it. We are tired of these campaign promises. Enough is enough.
All right, thank you very much.
Campaign promises.
Well, those are his thoughts, and you can't take them away from him. Yeah. Thank you very much, Yobosa. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Enjoy Beijing.
Thank you.
Shasha. All right, Simon, thank you very much too, and see you again very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, so much for the newspaper review this morning. I think I need to fold this and put it away. Then we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to you about the Hantavirus. What are its origins? What are the dangers? What are the threats it poses to humans? And how susceptible is Nigeria to the Hantavirus? It seems very remote right now, but we'll talk about all of that when we come back after this break and our guest joins us.
The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figure, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should stay by and go.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program inside the parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The public have proven that the election peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, and of course, time for us to go into our very first interview for this morning. And like we told you, we will be looking at the Hantavirus outbreak, its origins, the dangers and threats to Nigeria. We have joining us in the studio Dr. Kasma Ifeanyi, who is the national president of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us,
good morning.
Dr. Ifeanyi. All right, let's start from the beginning, because until about 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure very many Nigerians had heard about the Hantavirus.
Absolutely.
And so all of that has changed now with the outbreak and that ship that berthed in Tenerife in Spain. Now, what does the global health community know about this Hantavirus?
Well, Hantavirus has been around for a very long time. Like you did say, the average person on the street is just getting to know about it, particularly those in Nigeria. But the medical community has been very conversant with Hantavirus. Hantavirus was first discovered and then eventually isolated sometime 1978 after the Korean War, and for which reason it has been described as having its origin in that region, and deriving its name also from the Hanta River that is located within that axis. Hantavirus, of course, like any other virus, is integral to the other hantaviruses. And of course, like the family name is the Hantaviridae of the other Muang viricetes. So it's been old and there, and of course it's been well understood by the medical community. It's been expansively studied by virologists, and
it's been classified. There are about 37 species of that particular virus with varying degrees of what we call virulence or ability to cause disease across the world. It's been categorically divided into two, what they call the old order and the new world order hantaviruses. The old order affects countries like Africa and Asia and Europe, and the new order is common to the parts of Americas. Now, the current MV Omis cruise ship outbreak has also been fully understood following extensive laboratory efforts and studies. It's been fully established that it is the hantavirus that causes what we call HPS, hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, that accounts for this outbreak. It's been narrowed down also to the species we call adescens, the adenovirus species of the Hantavirus is being said to be responsible for this particular cruise ship outbreak.
All right, now I hear that breakdown, and I think for a lot of Nigerians, you know, it seems novel, for the short of the right word. But let's look at why this is so critical, because even from reports, they say Africa is not isolated, you know, from the spread, and there seems to be a bit of, you know, tremor on that. But before we get to what really the tragedy could be, let's look at rodents here. We hear that rodents are said to also play a major part in the spread of the disease. I don't know how that plays into this context, but would want you to please explain.
Yes, that. Like you rightly remarked, hantavirus is spread by rodents. And when we say rodents, what are rodents? Mice, rats, voles. These are considered the animal that are responsible, like the reservoir host for this particular disease. So it's a zoonotic disease, so to speak. And the irony is that in these animals, it presents asymptomatically. And so these animals now, in their urine and droppings, shared the virus. And humans will only become affected if they inhale what we call the aerosolized particles deriving from the urine and droppings of these rodents. So when humans inhale them, they may come down if these droppings are contaminated with the virus, or if the virus is being shared in these animal droppings. And so rodent is critical to the spread of hantavirus globally. And then for us in Nigeria, why are we concerned about this? For us in Nigeria, we're concerned because we also do know that there is this hemorrhagic fever, the Lassa fever, that has its home in this country. Was first described or discovered in Borno State, Nigeria, over 60 years, or there about close to 60 years now, about 58 or so years, and we've not been able to grapple with it. We're still grappling with it. Part of my concern is that a disease that is Nigeria in origin, we do not have a simplified testing protocol that can become commonplace in facilities, because early detection is key. And there cannot be early detection when we continue to have gaps in laboratory. We are talking about hantavirus now, this particular outbreak associated with a cruise ship. The first individual who is now the suspect prime, what we call the index case man, the case one, is somebody who's traveled to somewhere around Argentina and Chile and boarded the cruise ship, and then eventually took ill and died sometime between 26th and 28th of April. Unfortunately, that individual, considered the probable first case, died having made contact with other people on board the cruise ship. And again, he died without a laboratory confirmation of the cause of death. So, but he becomes the very first case. Because the second case, and that's also why people this way should be alert but not worried.
Okay.
Mark the word. We need to be alert but not really worried. The second case, who had contact with the first case, was eventually flown to intensive care in Johannesburg,
South Africa,
and died in Johannesburg. And that case was fully characterized using a reverse transcriptase PCR and fully sequenced to establish that yes, it is Hantavirus and it is the Aedes species. So, having happened somewhere very close, because I consider Johannesburg close to us.
Oh, very close.
Even the third case also was also flown and is hospitalized as we speak in Johannesburg intensive care unit. But look at what really does happen is that once they come, a laboratory confirmation is made. And that's what I want to speak to. One of the reasons why we need to be concerned, like I said, the first reason why we're going to be concerned is that yes, it is rodent again. Yes, we have Lassa fever. Yes. It is rodent. And there are reports in literature on the particular multimammoth rat that is responsible for transmission of Lassa fever here has also been critical in the transmission of hantavirus. So we already have the rodents here. We pray they don't acquire the virus to shed for us. Because, you see, our president sometime when he was campaigning did say, when a hungry rat is in the church, why wouldn't he take Holy Communion? So meaning that we have accepted that rodent is commonplace. You visit restaurants, you find rodents. No matter how high class. You visit 5-star hotels in Nigeria, rodents will be everywhere. Of course, no matter how aesthetic and touched the homes are, whether they are in highbrow areas in Abuja or Lagos, you will find all these rats there. Meaning we really need to do something about rodents. And that means that as we raise our alert signals, it must come with the One Health approach, where you will bring people in human health, animal health, and environment. That is critical in stepping up our emergency and responsiveness. Now, today, it is known that there's been about 8 confirmed cases. And out of these 8 confirmed cases, 3 persons have died. Meaning the fatality rate agrees perfectly that it is HPS, Hantavirus syndrome, with some gastrointestinal complications. So, meaning that the mortality rate is about 38%. That's quite concerning. And so, for us in this country, I am happy our IHR focal agency, that is the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, had come to do risk communication, had to speak to say, for us, of course, across the globe, the global population risk has been classified as being low. The risk is only moderate for those who were part or are in that cruise ship.
For the optimism, I mean, for us, shouldn't we one that will overlook the issues ahead and have a sense of security?
I do not see that as optimism. It's only a risk communication, a reassuring risk communication. Because I do expect that the National Center for Disease Control should up its games, particularly as I have rightly observed, that the challenge we would have with this is that of diagnostic gap, laboratory capacity gaps, and they exist. You can't deny them. Reverse transcriptase PCR is not commonplace. So, for us in this country, now what this should do for us and for NCDC and for the health authorities is that it is important, for all time it is important, to capacitate laboratories. Not the building, the human resource, the laboratory infrastructure, the equipment. It must be cutting edge. And so, you know, at the time, there was this burst conversation about activation and optimization of molecular laboratories. The question is, how many of these activated or optimized molecular laboratories are still up and running? And how many of them would have capacity for hantavirus detection? Because early detection and laboratory confirmation is key.
And that could be a source of vulnerability for Nigeria.
Oh, so the fact that the rodents are everywhere here is a source of concern. The fact that Nigerians are highly traveled people.
And for points of entry checks?
Oh, of course, the ports of entries are vulnerable. I mean, they are preponderant, they are open everywhere. You can come in and go without being noticed.
Yeah, but Dr. Ifeanyi, if I can take you back to 12 years ago, the Ebola virus visited Nigeria suddenly. Do you still have, are you optimistic that Nigeria can still rise up to the occasion? Or let me say Nigerians, because it was that doctor, Dr. Stella Adadivo, that put her life on the line and virtually kick-started the response that Nigeria saw. And she paid dearly for it with her life, and today we still remember her. But do you have that optimism that we still have that kind of capacity to respond if, I hope it doesn't happen, the Hantavirus comes into Nigeria?
Well, between the last 12 years and now, no matter how green the picture may look, we have made some advances. We have also made some advances in our ability to dictate, which is cardinal to national health security. With the coming on board of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, we are taking some steps, but not a leap. Because aside the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, which is at the national level, at the sub-national level, we do not have a semblance of it anywhere. And that's a major challenge. And so if we have, if we're confronted with Hantavirus today, we will grapple. We won't be as responsive as other nations have been in this matter. You won't be comparing our preparedness capacity in terms of laboratory confirmation to countries like the United States. In fact, I will even say you may not also compare it with South Africa. Now, the reason is this: like we talked about 12 years ago, we were ferrying samples to small countries like Sierra Leone for confirmation of hemorrhagic fevers, all sorts of outbreaks, including meningitis, which is commonplace here. So there are huge gaps for us, but I do believe that if we have, if there's an importation of Hantavirus today, we are not naked, strictly speaking, in terms of capacity to confront it, and give that to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. My worry is that we must begin to replicate centers for disease control of that nature and capacity, at least if we can't do state level, at regional level. It's important. It's not, there's an outbreak, for instance, the one we had with the Chinese who visited Cross River, and we will have to wait until everything is resolved laboratory-wise in NCDC Abuja. We should be able to resolve that within the South-South zone. If we can't do it even within the state, these things, they do not cost the cost of heaven. The cost is not heavy. It's affordable. It's about prioritizing our needs in the health sector. And one area we have continued to play down in the health sector, which is our abatus, is that we continue to play down laboratories, medical laboratories. It's just like you take your car to a panel beating shop for body work. You change all the tires, but you don't have the engine. Will you drive it? So that's the challenge and the bane of the Nigerian health system. We need to speak to it.
Okay, let me ask you this, because you are the national president of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. How are you collaborating with the Medical Science Laboratory Council of Nigeria concerning this? Because what you've just talked about is something that could be of serious concern if, as the president of that association, you are saying that there are serious gaps, the way you've described it, like a car that's refurbished but without an engine.
Thank you very much. I think the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, MLSC, is the flagship agency of government that regulates the practice of medical laboratory science in Nigeria.
Yes, of course.
That regulates the practitioners of medical laboratory science in Nigeria that regulate facilities, public and private, that provide medical laboratory services across the country, whether it's for tertiary health or public health, whatever category of laboratories, will and of this week or thereabout, there's huge donor fund, an intervention that had come to the Nigerian health sector, which was just flagged up less than 48 hours or 72 hours ago. But it will shock you to hear that the medical laboratory scientists were not integral to that intervention that is dealing with being able to enhance disease surveillance. Public health laboratories. That's what I mean.
So the MLSCN was not involved in
well, the MLSCN have told you their duty, but you need to involve the practitioners.
You're talking about practitioners, your members of your association.
Eventually, when we have outbreaks like this, who will deal with the sample? My members, medical laboratory scientists. Do you understand it?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to involve the professionals in this conversation, in the build-up to this intervention, in the eventual flag-up of this intervention. We are going to bring expert advice, because the person who is coming to help you must first ask you, what do you need? So we understand this profession, we practice this profession, we understand our community. And we're saying that Nigeria, as big as it now, this Hantavirus outbreak, do you know where they are current sample to within the West African sub-region? Again, Sierra Leone. Institute Pasteur Laboratory, Sierra Leone. So why are they not couriering sample to Nigeria for us to help them characterize using a reverse transcription PCR and sequence to identify?
Just to come in here, Doc, because again, you've raised a very pertinent issue, the unemployment of laboratory scientists. And, you know, I think from statistics and what, you know, you reeled out some time ago, that over 30,000, you know, of laboratory scientists remain unemployed. And that means there's a huge gap, because even though we talk about the lack of laboratories, you know, existence for testing. You said about just 2,000 of our public health system out of 60,000 have, you know, laboratories. But in terms of unemployment of the lab scientists, where does this responsibility start? What is the relationship between the association, this need, the Federal Ministry of Health, and prioritizing these as a core objective?
Should there even be a case of unemployment with medical laboratory scientists? First is that we do not have enough medical laboratory scientists in country. As of today, like you rightly said, we have between 50 and 60,000 trained and registered medical laboratory scientists. And some out of this number would have passed on. And now the question is that number adequate for 250 million populated country? The answer is no, grossly inadequate. Grossly inadequate. Out of this number, I have data which I can share with you that a reasonable number of them who were employed in public sector and some private sector have gone overseas. As at my last audit that I conducted just last year, we have that well over 5,000 out of this lot left only last year. They live in droves. They are in high demand abroad, but they are unemployed in Nigeria, and we do not have enough. When you hear we say ratio of doctor to patient, we say, oh, one doctor, 200, 400, 500. For every one patient that a doctor sees, a medical laboratory scientist will deal with not less than of a minimum of 5 test parameters. So do you see the reciprocal? You see one patient, I deal with 5 issues or more. So we are in short supply. But let me also shock Nigerians this morning. This is going to come as a huge shock. Part of what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the renewed hope agenda for the health sector, part of what they are priding themselves to have achieved, commendable as it were, particularly in the education sector, is that they have isolated within the 6 geopolitical zone 18 universities, 1 public, 1 private, 1 state. And they have decided to support the training of medical doctors, nurses, pharmacists. And these universities will receive or had received 4 billion, quite commendable, to provision classrooms, laboratories, and other infrastructure necessary for their training. Did you notice something missing in the
there's nothing for medical science lab.
Deliberately, willfully exclusion of medical laboratory science. You are intervening to boost training of health workforce. Again, it takes us to painting the vehicle, body shop, putting the tires, and making sure there's no engine. So Nigerians to prevail on the Honorable Minister of Education. Don't have a rethink. Because we are undoing our people. I do not know what formed his basis, but I have data to say that we have more doctors in Nigeria, more nurses in Nigeria, more pharmacists trained in Nigeria than medical laboratories.
So what you're saying in essence is for us to be really ready and prepared for the antivirus, we do need to look inwards at having more laboratory scientists. And
we are deliberately making sure we're not prepared by excluding medical laboratory science from the courses that will benefit from the 4 billion intervention that is being doled out to universities. So we need to speak to it. I have made conscious effort to engage with the authorities in this respect, including letters to third fund. No response. So I'm thinking because Nigeria should be concerned. Every day we have a case of emerging and re-emerging diseases, very fulminant disease conditions, and we are playing with preparing the human resource that will require to do the laboratory confirmation. As we speak today, there's also a clandestine design to weaken medical laboratory regulation, to give a Nigerian definition of medical laboratory science. These are concerning developments that will undo the Nigerian health system, and it will place the people at risk.
Okay, which brings us back to Hantavirus.
Hantavirus now. What does Nigeria need to do to scale up the disease prevention and control capabilities before this thing gets to us?
3 things are cardinal.
Quickly.
Prepare for early detection. Build capacity of laboratories. Make sure the labs are optimal and running. That's 1. 2, you need to do risk communication, which I must thank your station. You are helping to do that already. 3, we must model the One Health approach. That's what we need to model. Bring environmentalists, bring animal health care professionals, bring, of course, human health care professionals. Drive the approach, the preparedness, using the WHO One Health template.
Okay.
That's what we need to do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kasma Ifeanyi. We have to leave it there this morning. The National President of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, Dr. Kasma Ifeanyi, has been our guest talking to us about the Hantavirus outbreak, its origins and dangers as well as threats to Nigeria, and what can be done to detect quickly if the Hantavirus comes,
absolutely,
of course, to the country. Thank you so much for coming.
Clean up your environment. Shut out rodents. Cover your food.
And keep your pets clean.
Cover your food.
And wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Hand sanitizer.
Oh yes. No, it's even better to wash your hands. I prefer washing my hands to sanitizers.
You can't overwash your hands.
You cannot. But you can overuse sanitizer. All right, we got to go now. It's Kakaaki Social O'Clock. In just a few seconds, Rena Obozege will be here to give you the latest from the cyberspace. Stay with us.
The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figure, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
Governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should stay back and go.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in Hantavirus politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program inside the parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The body have proven that the election peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to Ireland.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. This is Kakaaki Social. I'm Rena Obozege. President Bola Tinubu is seeking a fresh $1.25 billion loan from the World Bank. It's titled Nigeria's Action for Investment and Jobs Acceleration, with plans for board approval by June 26, 2026. Now, if approved, this brings total World Bank financing under President Tinubu alone to about $10.6 billion, and it's certainly fueling concerns over Nigeria's debt, which is nearing 159 trillion naira. With its approval also, the loan will rank as the second largest single World Bank facility secured under President Bola Tinubu. What does this mean to you? What are you saying in reaction to this? Let's cross over to the comment section and Trends Table for your thought. Tony Banks says, the World Bank is an enemy of Africa. They are a tool of the imperialists to impoverish Africans. They will keep doing the bidding of their sponsors. Africans must rise against them. Also, in reaction to this, Obi Attitude says, even your own personally selected ministers are afraid of the pandemic future. You are throwing us pandemonic future you are throwing us all into. For God's sake, who is advising this man right now? More thought to this. Mr. Steven says, at some point, Every country borrowing heavily must answer one uncomfortable question: when does development become self-sustaining instead of debt-sustaining? Two more thoughts to this one. CISO says men with barely 10 more years to live are borrowing billions of dollars with 40 to 5-year repayment plans. These old men steal the loans and spend it on BS. But the masses who will use the rest of their lives repaying the loans long after these men are dead are supporting them to continue. And final thoughts to this, Zosarete Victor Asemota, says, Jude will leave the next administration with so much debt that they will wish that they had not won the elections. And yet, another reaction still from Hamlet says, Tinubu is seeking for a fresh $1.2 billion World Bank loan, and you are asking what he's going to do with it. This campaign and election that is coming up, will he use your urine to fund it? For harmless, this is campaign funds right there. Also, we have troops of Operation Hadinkai that have intercepted and seized more than 400 Starlink communication devices allegedly linked to Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province in Nigeria's northeast. The military said the devices were being used by the terrorists to coordinate operations and maintain communication across areas, including Sambisa Forest and the Timbuktu Triangle. The commander of the Sector 2, Brigadier General Bayide Martins, discloses this in a video that the seizures are part of intensified operations aimed at cutting off terrorist logistics and supply chains.
Starlink is a main network, and I think so far within the sector, arrested over 400 pieces of Starlink network, over 400 pieces, and that has helped to deny them the ability to be able to get connection easily.
All right, let's bring you in at this point. Jenny's Place says this is why national security conversations can't be treated casually anymore. Terror groups are adapting with modern technology, while many African countries are still reacting slowly. In another thought, C. Alabo says, Starlink has been prominent in terrorist activities, and there is a strict process in acquiring it. Is it out of place to say Elon Musk and his team know a thing or two about these terrorists? And Bloody Fidi says, still in reaction to that, all right, let's have Parrot Report. It says, wow, that's something we need to invite Elon Musk to the Senate for questioning. And for Ife, it says, before Starlink, what were they using? Will Elon Musk come to Nigeria to answer to the Senate or something? Lex is saying 400 Starlink devices is 240 million. Subscribing it monthly is 24 million. The question the government needs to be asking is who is sponsoring these guys? And yet close his eyes in shame there. Also this morning, we have Governor Caleb Muang of Plateau State that has condemned what he described as the irresponsible circulation of violent attack videos on social media, saying such content is contributing to the negative portrayal of Plateau State. Speaking on the rising insecurity concerns, Muang said there appears to be a deliberate attempt to demarcate the state through the constant sharing of disturbing footages online, and is warning that the trend could worsen fear and damage Plateau's image.
We have never suggested anywhere that any incident should be swept under the carpet. We keep accurate data of all the attacks. But many of you that are in a hurry to put it on social media, you are destroying the state. And sometimes you put on social media what you had as a rumor. You don't know the life you put in danger sometimes with what you put on social media. We need to be careful. There is a deliberate plan to demarcate Plateau State and to tell the world that Plateau State is not anywhere that anybody should visit. But let me reassure Nigerians and the world that Plateau still remains the home of peace and tourism.
All right, in reaction to this, Omoba Blog Media says, blaming those who speak about suffering does not silence the pain that gave rise to the cry. For a wound ignored in the name of image often deepens before true healing can begin. Another reaction is coming from Scoot. It says, so how do they expect us to react? If you complain or criticize, you could possibly be arrested. If you speak about poor infrastructure in government institutions, you risk being expelled for speaking up. People are being killed and they still expect Nigerians to stay silent about it. What exactly do these politicians want from us? Scoot is asking. Tell another bro, says Governor Muang, people are being slaughtered like chickens in Plateau and your priority is stop sharing videos. Bro, the blood on your hands is what's demarcating the state, not Twitter. Fix the insecurity or resign. We are tired of excuses. Hashtag Plateau is bleeding. Ifeanyi Godwin says a governor that rode on an armored tank to go and see his people who were killed has the effrontery to say that those who post mass murder is the market in the state. What effort has he made to bring to an end the continuous killing of the people of his state? Those are your thoughts right there. To more stories, we have Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Disu, that has issued an internal directive on requiring POS operators to stay at least 200 meters from all police stations across Nigeria. The order targets allegation that agents near stations help officers extort money from drivers and detainees through forced transfers. Senior officers face liability for violations, building on a proud ban inside stations as Disu works to rebuild trust in the force amid divided public views. Is this good news for Nigerians or anything like that? Let's see what you make of this. Sepsi Pro says, instead of calling your men to order, you think this will work? Please that we carry you in their car to anywhere there is POS. Who are these people in high offices in the country? For Paulino, he says, this is good. It will curb extortion, but many policemen have the POS number offhand when that they just transfer the money to POS. My opinion is that any policeman caught in the process of extortion should be dismissed immediately. It will reduce extortion. More thought to this. Emmy Clem says, this is absolutely nonsense. What if they collect the POS agent account and use it for transfers? So those that have shops, supermarket, and pharmacy close to the station that operates POS should also close. That's that user. For Batman, it says, New Nyaya police station, just opposite the station. Now there them carry me go, do withdrawal. Oga Victor and his boys, whoever Oga Victor is and whoever the boys are, you are being called out this morning on X. Away from that story, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has announced plans for tariff increases across all customer bands. It will affect high-paying Band A, the ones that are supposed to have 20+ hours daily, to subsidize Band E, 4 hours daily or less. Now, NEC says the hikes are needed to draw investment into aging infrastructure and end subsidies after the grid collapsed 12 times in 2024 alone, and households average just 79 kilowatt monthly. Critics highlight the hardship with petrol at 137 naira per litre, and they are demanding reliable power first, fueling widespread anger online. All right, let's see NEC eyeing new tariff price. What you make of this in the comment section. Faisal Balarabe says, At this point, it's clear the federal government is trying to provoke us. Fuel is unaffordable. Food prices are crazy. Nigeria is weak. Salaries haven't changed. Let me read that part again. Salaries haven't changed. And now they want us to pay more for light. We don't even get. How do you keep raising tariffs when most Nigerians barely see 4 hours of power a day? This isn't reform, it's punishment. So more thought to this one. For Peacemaker, it says, first of all, that band thing is a scam. Secondly, Abia, which has a 24-hour light tariff, is way cheaper than this band rubbish. It says it's high time Nigerians rejected this band thing. It's either band A for all or nothing. And yeah, more thought to this one. Musbahu says the main problem with this is the growing inability for the universities to afford electricity tariffs in Nigeria. What is happening in Nigeria University needs to be promptly addressed because they no longer enjoy electricity supply due to serious hike in the tariffs. Universities should access some kind of subsidized tariffs. Otherwise, there will be more darkness in coming months throughout our universities. Temi says, I still don't understand this government. You can say people should be buying your debt to pay the Gencos what you owe them and still go around increasing tariffs. Who are your advisors, Seth? The day we start realizing that this country's problem is human, we will do and act better. That's Temi right there. Now over to Lagos. Senator Wasiu Eshiloko Sani held his 11th town hall in the Central Senatorial District that he represents, where supporters distributed cash grants, scholarships, and aid worth 1 million naira per ward to over 1,500 people while endorsing President Tinubu's 2027 re-election. Now, videos of the event led to critics to accuse it, say this is vote buying and exploiting poverty amid Nigeria's economic struggles.
Àwọn tí wọ́n bá sì gbà ẹ jẹ́ kí a jókòó sórí ìjókòó wa a máa pè ní lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan gbogbo alámàgbà.
All right, let's see what you make of these videos trending online. Metro Chuk says, in your face, vote buying. No attempt to hide it, just crude and barbaric bribery and vote inducement. Totally illegal and against the law, but they are doing it regardless. APC has destroyed what we have left of democracy. This abhorrent behavior can't be allowed to continue. Also, in reaction, Adekunle says, for every time you sleep in darkness, for every time you don't drink pipe-borne water, for every time your car gets damaged on bad road, for every time you don't have access to healthcare, you have collected them through the token distributed by politicians called cash benefit. In fact, those distributing the money don't trust themselves. They will be finding ways to keep some for themselves. That packet, if you check it very well, it will definitely be short. You will see 98, 97, 90 randomly and not 100 pieces. For Dave, it says a whole federal government and incumbent doing cash empowerment to win election. Who do us like this? Someone that should be campaigning with his achievement is now inducing people with money that is meant to be used for development. Coming from Dave right there. And as we call it a day on Kakaaki Social this morning, we like to pay tribute to the Nollywood actor that, as the Nigerian movie industry has lost one of its members, an actor and model, Alex Kubour. And Arochukwu, Abia State, born April 10, 1988, in Rivers State, was said to have died on Tuesday, May 12, 2026, in Lagos, following a battle with a terminal illness. Since the late 2024, the 6-footer actor has been absent from public engagement, film set, and social media as a result of his ill health. He turned 40 in April this year, 2026, and he was best known for his romantic roles in comedies and dramas, which endeared him to movie lovers. Well, we like to say rest in peace. The industry misses you, and I see a lot of strength and all the goodwill. Everyone would miss you. Go well, Alex. But that's the size of Kakaaki Social this morning. Thanks a bunch for being a part of it. I'm Rena OBO, and we are AIT_online. We'll see you again tomorrow. Stay with us. The program has not ended.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press am, lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My Baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse this month of May. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political Platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program. You have just real talk. Political Platform, now on A.
But thank you for staying with us. And remember, it's the second Wednesday of the month. And of course, you know how we do it here. Kakaaki Cancer Awareness in collaboration with Kubour Cancer Foundation, whose CEO, Dr. Dennis Ejo, is always the one taking us through this and the issues dealing with the end of life care for cancer patients. And that's what we would be looking at in focus this morning. Good morning, Dr. Ejo.
Good morning, people.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you today?
Good.
You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm feeling happy. Thank you very much.
All right, take it away.
All right. Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another edition of Kakaaki Cancer Awareness with Kubour Cancer in partnership with Kubour Cancer Foundation. Sorry. This is one of those days. So I am Dr. Dennis Ejo, the CEO of the foundation. Together we fight, together we win. So today we're going to be having a very serious and I think a conversation we need to have. Today we'll be talking about something many families fear and many avoid discussing. And it's the word palliative and end-of-life care. So for many Nigerians, hearing the words palliative care often feels like hearing that all hope is gone. It is often misunderstood as giving up. But the truth is very different. Palliative care is about improving quality of life. It's about managing the pain, reducing suffering, offering emotional support, and helping patients and their families live with dignity through every stage of the illness. As someone, that's me, living with metastatic cancer, I understand while cure is always hoped, there are moments when care must become focused on comfort, dignity, and compassion. So, across Nigeria, many families walk this difficult road with little support, little information, and far too much silence. Today, we are joined with our dear doctor, Dr. Nduku, a palliative care consultant at University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, to help us understand why these conversations matter and why compassionate care should never stop. You are very welcome to the program, Doc. It's very nice to see you, and thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for inviting me. It is my pleasure.
Nice to have you here on this Creating Awareness Day. So let's carry this conversation forward now. And I want to start with may the soul of Alex Kubour rest in peace. The cancer journey is not an easy one. And to his family, we're out there. Please hang in there. So let's go. Together we fight, together we win. Many Nigerians still believe palliative care means treatment has failed. Nah, I don't believe that. Does palliative care really mean that, Doc? And why is it important to introduce it early in a patient's cancer journey?
Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that if I'm given the opportunity, I will change the name from palliative care to holistic care. And I have my reason. Immediately people hear palliative care, they just say, oh, my case is hopeless. I don't actually know how they got that misinformation. And they now say, oh, it is time for me to die. Well, that's wrong. Palliative care is not about dying. Palliative care is actually about living. And living well till the end. So palliative care will affirm life, but we know that death is a necessary end. And so we don't also shy away from discussing about dying in palliative care. So what actually is palliative care? Palliative care is an arm of medicine that care for patients and their families that are passing through life-limiting illnesses. And what is life-limiting illnesses? They are actually illnesses that you are going to live with till you die. So there is actually, most times, no cure for these illnesses. And some of them are like cancer, sickle cell, dementia, Alzheimer's diseases. There are so many of them. But for the program, we're going to focus on cancer. And so we say that palliative care offers care to the patient and the family. The aim is to improve the quality of life. And the thing that is unique about palliative care is that it does not concentrate only on the physical aspect of this illness. It looks at the spiritual, the social, the psychological dimension of this illness, which is very important. The physical aspect, if a man is made up of a body, a soul, and a spirit, and they affect each other. And so if you just look at only the physical aspect and take care of the disease, the chances of this patient surviving is very narrow. But when you take care of the whole patient, that is the spiritual burden, the social burden, the psychological burden, and the physical burden of this disease, then you are taking care of the whole patient. But also remember that this patient is living with a family, and he has a job and a community. So, and this family, job, community affects the illness, and the illness affects the job, the family, and the community. And so we put all of them together, and this is holistic care. And that's what we call the biopsychosocial model of care. And so when cure is not possible, I tell you, care becomes very imperative, very important. And if we care for this patient, they survive. For example, Mother Teresa, you saw people lying on the streets, they are left to die. And she thought, let me just bring them in and just care for them so that they die with dignity. But to her surprise that most of them survived and they lived well for a long time. And so when we provide proper care, compassionate care like you call it, holistic care, we notice that there is a chances for people that you think that will die now live long. So why? What is the reason? Why should we allow palliative care early, not at the end of life? It's because we confuse the end of life. Holistic care, hospice care is mostly end of life care. There is end of life care, but palliative care is much more than end of life care. Palliative care should start from the point of diagnosis. One, our patient present late, most times in our country. And so if you now delay more, what will the palliative care offer the patient when you invite them? It is just to come and pray over them so that they can die. Is that what they will offer the patient? That's called extra unction in Catholic Church, but that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to offer them the physical, reduce suffering, improve their quality of life. So inviting palliative care at the point of diagnosis is important. Then the second thing, it helps in communication. The way you communicate from the beginning of the disease, help the patient and the family to pass through this, and it can prolong their life, because they need their will to fight this disease. They need to understand and take proper decisions. So the communication, and you know, the doctors and nurses, the patient burden is very high, and they don't have that time to give to this patient, because the information is heavy. You just don't drop you have cancer on a patient and you expect a patient to have that understanding. So you need to give the patient time, give the patient space so that they can assimilate and understand, and the palliative care can help the patient at this time. And so communicating is important. So that's number one reason why. Then the second reason is because the burden of this disease is so heavy on the family. And so if we come in early, we can interact with the family and help them bear the burden of this disease.
So can I come to you on the family part? Because I'm going to ask you a different question on family. Okay. I want to focus on the family differently. Yeah, thank you, because I think a lot of people really got that wrong and think that palliative care means dying. A lot of people don't know that I am on palliative care. So to those out there that think palliative care means dying, I don't think I look like I'm dying. But yes, I am in stage 4. Yes, there's, like the doctor has said, there is no cure. Yes, but so what? I'm still here. So let's go to the next one. So from your experience now, caring for patients and family support, what are some of the hardest realities that they face as cancer progresses? So what are their family? Because you were trying to... because that's the key.
The first reality, that the hardest, is that you will live with this disease till you die. They are always looking for eradication, for cure. So it's very difficult. That's the hardest reality, the first one, for them to accept. Then the second is the financial burden. It's so heavy. It is so heavy. The third is the spiritual, the social, and the emotional effect of this disease on them. And this, you know, especially the suffering is actually intense. So it's another reality, especially for the family and the patient to face. It's something that is very difficult for them. And so it's something that, wow, how do we do? The financial, I've talked about the financial effect, and I've talked about the fact that they're going to live with this illness till they die. It's normally very, very difficult for patients to cope. Then the fourth one, you know, you see how I'm reducing to discuss end of life issues. Very difficult. In our culture, you know, if you go to talk about death, you are bearing bad news, and they look at you, oh, you are wishing me to die. But you are not, you are actually talking about how can I live well till the end. And there is also the dying well. Then the last thing is to actually decide what is important. At this time, is another reality. What is important? You know, before you can just decide, I want to go to America, I want to do this. But at this time in your life, you need to look at it and say, what are the things that are very important? And let me give you an example of what I'm saying. You know, we had this patient with cancer, diagnosed with cancer, and I was involved from the beginning. You know what she told me? She said, look, I have an only child, my son, and he's in primary school. So you mean I'm going to die? I say, no, you're not going to die. So you see, she's come to understand that this is where her focus. Every other thing is not important at this time. The focus is in this. And you know, last week she stood before a group, because we do what we call support, cancer support. And you know what she said? She said, I am still alive. And I want to tell you, the thing you hear is very important from the beginning. But I'm alive and my son is in the university. You see, they actually at that time, they need to face the fact that they need to select what is important, what is very important to them. So the first thing, the reality that they need to face. And then the last is the caregiver, the family. You know, they are looking at the effect of this illness on their family, and they need to face it. Sometimes it causes family dysfunction. Sometimes they need to borrow. Sometimes their children need to withdraw from school. The reality. And, you know, we shy away from most things that cancer, the effect, the psychological effect. You see, if it is a breast cancer patient, you forget that the breast is not just the anatomy. There is a lot of things concerning the breast as it relates to the man and the woman. And we are not even bothered about that. We don't talk about that. There is a reality that they need to face. If it's a man, you're talking about maybe prostate cancer, and he has a young wife. You understand? So there is these realities they have to face, and they need to adjust to them. And so I tell you, there's so much that they need to put for this interview.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. So you brought two things out, which was very interesting that I just realized, cultural silence was one thing that we always don't talk about, and it's our culture. And it's a shame that we don't want to talk about them. We need to start talking about them. But pain control is something that is very, very key. And I want you to talk about pain control because a lot of people don't realize that I take quite a lot of very strong painkillers, even morphine, and they just see this person that is always smiling. So pain control, emotional support, and access to proper care remain very major issues, right? But what's the biggest barrier? So give me the 3 top biggest barriers to quality palliative and end-of-life care. The 3 biggest barriers. I know we've talked about finance. Finance is always number 1. Okay. All right. I don't know if that's correct. Would I put finance as part of it? Or would you say no?
I think actually late presentation is number 1. Late presentation is number 1 to me, because if the patient presents early, you could offer palliative care and they can live longer. But when they present late and then they are referred to palliative care even later, you can't really offer anything. It is only maybe to the family that you can, and by that time it's even difficult. They are really very emotional. They're already, what we call anticipatory grief. They're already grieving for this patient. So you can't even penetrate at that time. So I think the first barrier in our own environment is late presentation. The second barrier is actually that we do not have enough trained palliative care specialists. We do not have enough, and we don't even have a place for them to be trained. So we don't have a structured training institution and train for palliative care specialists to be trained in Nigeria. So if you want to be trained, you go outside, and then where is the sponsorship? And I want to tell you, I don't even encourage being trained outside as much as possible. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but the danger. They go outside for training and they don't come back. But
even cultural is different.
Yes, if we are trained here, yes, we will be trained also in the context of our culture. Yeah. And we'll be able to offer culturally accepted palliative care, which is very, very important. So, training. Now, also, let me tell you that we don't even have the structure to offer the palliative care in our institutions and where we are. So, now, we are just like an attachment. So, if we have the structure, the equipment that we need, I want to tell you that many people that are suffering from cancer, they have not reached the hospital. They are in their home suffering in pain, and they will die without dignity. And then the last, because you said 3, I'm giving you 4. The last is pain control. Now, when I talk about availability of essential drugs, I mean drugs that are affordable, accessible, and are prescribed. I know what I'm talking about, and are prescribed, because some of our healthcare workers still have this thing of addiction. Why are you talking about addiction for somebody that is at the end of life, and you don't want to prescribe morphine, and the person is suffering? You're watching the patient suffering in pain, but you can prescribe morphine, and you'll be surprised that this person can get up and do a number of things and attend to the things that are very important to that patient at that time. And so it must be accessible, it must be affordable. I want to also talk about affordability. Cancer treatment is very expensive. It's very toxic to the family, to their finance. And so the government need to make cancer treatment free I actually want it free. But if not, at least let the NHIA allow for palliative care and cancer to be part of NHIA. It's important so that costs will be reduced for the patient.
Thank you. Yeah, but you've thrown one. So with this one, I'm going to make an appeal, and I'm making an appeal to the government based on what you just said now. That please, we're begging. Can there be an institute for palliative care, palliative medicine in Nigeria?
Yeah.
If you're saying there is no institute, that is a big issue, because that is our care. Oh my goodness, that is our care. That is, I am in palliative care. I know I have all kinds of, I have 3 different doctors managing me, so it's not making sense, because your bones, your legs, you got so many other things that come up with this type of diseases. So please, I'm begging the government to please listen to us, hear us. I'm begging, please help us. This palliative care matter is really important, because the quality of our life really matters. I take morphine, but I'm not addicted to it, because I only take it when I need it. I don't take it because I want it. So I want you to give me one thing that you want, any cancer. So what would be one thing you want a family and want a caregiver to remember as we close this interview now and the journey with their loved one? One thing.
One thing they should remember. They should remember that even after the patient dies, the care that they gave to this patient will always be in their memory. So they should be patient. They should just be supportive. They should be with the make the patient feel unique and make the patient feel that they care for the patient. And also, they should take care of themselves, even as they care for the patient. They should not
Thank you very much.
For
Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate. Together we fight, together we win. Having lived with cancer myself and supporting so many families through the Common Cancer Foundation, I have learned that healing does not always mean cure. Sometimes healing means peace. Sometimes healing means dignity. Sometimes healing means knowing that even when medicine cannot remove the disease, care, comfort, and compassion must never end. No patient should suffer in silence. No family should carry this burden without support. And every life deserves dignity until the very end. So I want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Onduku, for sharing your knowledge and helping us better understand this important part of cancer care. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Palliative care does not mean giving up to those of you who are going through it. It's about choosing dignity. I choose Denise Uzomajo chooses dignity. It's about choosing comfort. I have chosen comfort. Please choose comfort. It's about choosing compassion. I have chosen compassion. To every family watching me today, if you are walking this difficult path, please know you are not alone. Reach out, ask questions, seek support. There is a big cancer patient community in Nigeria, and the Common Cancer Foundation can navigate you. Please don't carry this alone. Care does not end when cure is no longer possible, because care is there. My kids live with me on this thing, and you all know me. So I want to say thank you. To you, Doc, thank you for joining me. And I am Dr. Denise Ejo. Thank you for watching the Common Cancer Awareness Week on AIT. Together we fight, together we win. You can find us on our social media handles, Common Cancer Foundation, and you can look me up on on all the social media handles, D Ejo or Denise Ejo. And this program will drop on our Common Cancer YouTube channel sometime in this week. Have a lovely, lovely week. And we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you all. Doc, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Denise Ejo. And of course, we say thank you to Dr. Geraldine Unduku too for that time of the honors this morning concerning palliative.
And bring you entertainment and lifestyle.
And welcome to Entertainment and Lifestyle. Kakaki, the African Voice. I am Anu Awojobi. Come along. Let's take you to the city of Lagos at the 2026 AMVCA, a star-studded ceremony. It was a gathering of the creme de la creme, whose works have continued to shape creativity within and outside the shores of Nigeria, telling the true African story.
It feels really, really amazing to think that it was something that, I've always wanted to be here. I've always seen people and be like, oh, I want to be here someday. And then here I am to, celebrate with Africa. It's an honor and it's really amazing.
Anytime Africans come together and we're celebrating great pieces of work, it takes a lot to get things made, especially in this climate. And I think people are showing that we can stand on global stages, and we're just really excited for all of the nominees.
Nollywood and the Nigerian film industry is on a global scale now, and we've really taken things to a new height. So it's just great to see that all categories of the film industry are being acknowledged and awarded.
From the arrival of celebrities to the red carpet paparazzi, you sure can't take your eyes off the stunning and charming looks of the damsels and the dapper gentlemen who graced the 12th AMVCA. To the chit-chat corner with the media, filmmakers lauded the contributions of Africa to the world.
The AMVCA has grown to be one of the biggest industry events, not only in Nigeria, perhaps easily from the rest of Africa.
It feels good to be here again, and I want to say to the organizers of this award, you're the ones keeping the fire burning. Consistency has placed, and it has paid off, and we love it. Thank you for celebrating us.
This is the only the biggest celebration for creatives, filmmakers, actors, everyone that are trying to do everything to make people smile, to entertain, to educate, with filmmaking.
Now to the awards, where creative excellence, outstanding productions in film and TV was recognized, not forgetting those who work tirelessly behind the cameras.
It's just a beautiful feeling. I'm joyful. It's joy only. That's all I'm feeling right now, and that's the feeling. I have no words. I'm lost for words. I just want to say thank you to the organizers of this event, for giving us an opportunity to parlay, dress up, and be appreciated for what we do.
Honestly, overall, I'm truly grateful. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the team I worked with. Being nominated alone, I already took that as, I was already happy. I mean, look at the caliber of people I was nominated with,
I just won the best makeup, AMVCA 12.
I just won the best editing for To Kill a Monkey.
Nigerian actress Linda Ejiofor Suleiman was the biggest winner of the evening, picking up 2 big awards: the Best Actress for the movie The Serpent's Gift and the Best Supporting Actress for the film The Herd. In the Best Actor category, Uzo Arukwe won, while the Best Supporting Actor award went to Buchi Franklin. The film Lishabi won the Best Indigenous Film West Africa, while the Best Film Award went to My Father's Shadow. The Best Director Award went to Akinola Davis Jr. The Trailblazer Award went to Uche Montana.
And I've just won the Trailblazer at the AMVCA 2026. I don't know, I feel grateful, I feel blessed, I feel seen, and I'm so thankful.
I'm still flustered a bit. I can't even believe it, but I'm grateful to God. I just want to work harder. I want to get better at my craft, and I just give all the glory to God. That's it.
I am so grateful, so happy. I'm no more nervous. I know I'm no more nervous, but I am grateful.
Feels wonderful, ecstatic, and beautiful.
I just won writer for best writing for movies at the AMVCA 2026.
It feels good. I nearly had a heart attack, but I'm good now.
Nigerian legendary filmmakers Shola Shoboale and Kanayo O Kanayo were honored with an Industry Merit Award for their enormous contributions to filmmaking.
I feel honored. It's a great honor to be
called to appreciate what work you have done, even when you were not expecting an award. So tonight is an extension of the salute. What you're seeing tonight is a celebration of about 40 years. Many of us are in good health, but others are not. So the upcoming actors must not expect a fast food mentality.
I started from the grassroots and I'm still standing. If I don't believe in it, I should have been gone long time ago. I'm on top of the world, that I'm not forgotten, that I'm still relevant.
From the AMVCA, let's go to London and the British Academy of Film and Television Arts BAFTA Awards, held in honor of the best British and international television programs, actors and presenters over the past 12 months, with over 30 award categories. Netflix's drama Adolescence was the biggest winner of the BAFTA, taking home 4 awards, making history as the most wins in a single year at the ceremony. The films Celebrity Traitors and The Last One Laughing won 2 awards each. A quick rundown of some of the winners. Best Drama Series, Code of Silence. Best Limited Drama, Adolescence. Leading Actor, Stephen Graham, Adolescence. Best Supporting Actor, Owen Cooper, Adolescence. Best Supporting Actress, Christine Tremaco, Adolescence. In the Entertainment category, Last One Laughing. Best Soap Opera, EastEnders. And from London to the Los Angeles Superior Court, where American actor Christopher Jordan, CJ, the son of the late Notorious B.I.G. and Faith Evans, has won a defamation lawsuit against his former collaborator, Jonathan Hay, following months of legal disputes over allegations involving American rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Court documents showed a default motion was entered in Wallace's favor on May 6, 2026, after Hay failed to respond to the lawsuit. Wallace had last year sued Hay over comments made during several interviews, where Hay accused Wallace of engaging and witnessing alleged criminal conduct connected to Diddy. He also claimed that Wallace engaged in sexual relationship with the Bad Boy Records founder, Diddy Combs. Wallace has since denied the allegations and argued that the statements were defamatory. Hay's separate sexual assault lawsuit against Wallace and Diddy is still pending in Los Angeles Superior Court. Well, that's my package for you on entertainment and lifestyle on Kakaaki, the African Voice. And
Well, thank you so much for that. And just on that note, we want to really express our condolences to the family of Alexa Kubour, fondly called the Cuckoo. Lived a great life, and he'll be sorely missed.
May so rest in peace. We pray that God will comfort his family and everyone connected to him. Had such a great impact in Nigerian movies, and we do hope that for very many more years we will get to see his movies and remember the good that he did. That's the package on Kakaaki, the African Voice this morning. We thank you for being with us on the Midweek edition. Join us again on Thursday for another edition. My name is Kunle Adewale. Have a great day. Stay safe whatever you do, wherever you go.
And I am Adora Sinika. Listen to him. Thank
AIT, sharing the African experience.
So we don't want to just give certificate. We want to give certificate. And I always tell people, what
Did you hear
sabi?
that? Certificate.
Yes, what you sabi.
Certificate. Now, what you
certificate is good. But what can you do? Today, Nigerians are very, very intelligent.
Thank you very much for staying tuned. And I will always say, whatever it takes in your relationship or marriage or anything concerning your life, you alone can fix it. I still remain your host, Regina Dokpesi. Bye for now.
I hope you know what you're doing. In the bid to get a new son, don't lose the one you have.
Life, like an unending ocean.
We have blood on your hands.
Come back with the document, even if you have to kill, steal, or destroy.
Please, sell our children with this. This boy is.
Don't be carried away by my beauty.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypower Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Welcome to The Defender, your window into the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We take you beyond the uniform into the heart of the service.
We have also established a lot of policies that will drive our operational performance. First, we established a female squad after working on the National Safe Schools Coordination Center.
The Commandant General Special Intelligence Force is on the front line, fighting to stop illegal bunkering and the theft of our nation's oil resources, protecting our economy and sovereignty. And the female squad is dedicated to protecting our schools